All right. How do you want to start?
Okay. You can see the poster, right?
I can. Yes, you guys
Okay.
did a great job. Yes. Uh, Corinna is not here. No.
No, I don't know. She said she wasn't able to attend virtually.
Yeah. Okay. So we started out with the Cheshire Land Trust, who I'm with, that she wanted to do a project on bees, which I was more than happy to help with, although I know nothing about bees at all. And it turned out just like one of your other um, people were saying that the project morphed into something completely different, where it
Hmm.
went off on different avenues. So for Corinna, we decided to use Fresh Meadows because she wanted to do bees. And Fresh Meadows is like 35 acres. It's got a huge meadow with all sorts of wildflowers. So I thought that would be an easy pick. But it turned out that there were no bees. There were very little bees. There was very little everything. So it really started in June and it ran through the end of September, I believe. And we went regularly, sometimes a couple of times a week.
Hmm.
So we set up 3 stations with these cups. We went online and we looked to see how other people did bee surveys. And Kim Stoner was one that did a capture. So you're killing these things, but I'm sorry. So we put up 3 stations, a couple of meters apart, um, and we checked out what wildflowers were around them, what was growing flower wise, vegetation wise, and we made the different cups, different colors so that we could log it. So she used EpiCollect and Track Kit and Google Maps. However, none of that I think is showing on this map, but that's okay. So going several times a week, nothing's happening, nothing's happening. We couldn't figure it out. And then when we did start catching some bees, then we found out that we couldn't identify them because they were a mess after they got into the alcohol, or plus we are not experts
Right.
in bees. So we went on to a different kind of a thing, looking at it morphed really into what kind of wildflowers were in the meadow. Meadows, as you might know, are a very special habitat for an ecosystem for insects and mammals and birds. Um, so it more or less went into that, and what the takeaway was from observing the different bloom times, the successional blooming of all these wildflowers, and what was in there was how important it was to have something in bloom all the time. Because then we
Hmm.
started noticing as the summer went on, um, until like the peak of, I don't know, July, August, whatever, tons of dragonflies and damselflies and all sorts of bees. And there's like, I don't know, there's like hundreds and hundreds of, like 300 species of bees, and there's like I don't know, like more than 40 species of butterflies and all sorts of insects. So it would pick up a bit. So what we noticed was the different flowers attracting different insects. And so I think the takeaway from this project was we went in with thinking we were going to identify bees
Yep.
and insects, and that did not happen. What happened was we noticed that it was really important to have a succession of blooms. A meadow is very important to the environment because there's very little of it left with so much development in our state, and farmland as well. And that the last thing would be that in the fall, you might think that as a homeowner, for instance, to go ahead and cut down everything, but that's the worst thing you can do because there are so many late visitors to the blooms, including monarchs that are still on their migration, and then also with the different species of bees. And again, um, we had hordes of dragonflies, and they were eating all the little tiny flies and insects. So right up until into October, we were seeing things going on with the flowers. So it's really important to keep things up and not mow until after that point. So that was our takeaway from this project. So she learned a lot about native wildflowers, and you can see the different types that we have on the poster.
It was absolutely beautiful at that meadow.
It is pretty.
Um,
Yeah, it really is. We're very, very lucky to have it because, like I said, there's not too many meadows anymore where it's just an open swath of native grasses and wildflowers.
yeah, and quite the diversity. You taught me a lot when I was out there
Yes.
of, of just different plants that maybe I had seen before, but I didn't know exactly what they were.
Yeah.
And
It's
I
interesting. I learned a lot too. I did.
yeah, yeah, I really appreciated that.
Yep.
And I know it was tough with the identifying because of, you know, when they landed in the traps, they would start to decompose
Yes.
and it
So it
just
turned out to be a glob.
mushy dead bees. Yeah.
Yeah, we were pretty sure though that we had bumblebees and we had carpenter bees and there were a number of bees that she thought she could identify. So that was something. And the same with the insects, but mainly it was what's growing in the meadow, what's being attracted to it, and how long. That was the big thing to show homeowners to keep things in your own garden.
Right. Would you say a recommendation would be to wait until the first frost before people
Oh yeah.
cut
Yep.
vegetation? Okay. Okay. And do you think that working with Karina, you kind of partnered your interests well together and your
I think so,
background?
yeah. It was a fallback. And I think that she really, really is very interested in bumblebees, but you can only do so much if you're not seeing a lot of bumblebees. So, and we had to get a move on. So
Right.
I think she was fine with that. I think she learned from it. Well, I think every student, sorry, in this program takes away something, whether it was what they were originally going for or not, or sometimes it's just the information that the adult instructor or the land trust person has, or for Nicole and for Laura, what you give to us to take away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's obviously a learning. It's an important learning tool. I think no matter what happens.
Right. And I think being able for the teens to be partnered with folks like you that have an expertise in an area and a real connection to say, like the land trust is really beneficial.
Yeah, I think that I will say. I think that she was not an outdoor girl. So by the end of it, you guys are romping around just in tall, real high grass and,
Right.
and flowers and picking up bugs and not being afraid at all. So that was a good change. Yeah, now that you mentioned it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I think, Carrie had asked, she commended you on being able to adapt your project, kind of partway through.
Mhm.
And, it sounds like you learned a lot.
Yeah, we did.
Did you use EpiCollect to map
She did. She used
Okay.
Epic. Now,
Yeah.
where these things went off to, I don't know, because
Right.
she got busier with her schoolwork. I will say she's brilliant. She's really very smart, and I know she's going to do great things going forward, but she's very, very busy.
Yes. I know that when I met with her for the prep session, she had told me about a robotics competition. I didn't
Yeah.
even know she was on the robotics team.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was pretty impressive to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, all the students are great, though. You guys, the presentations today were just really interesting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Really interesting. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Claudia asked if you have a list of plants that one can create at home
Yes.
for pollinator garden.
Yeah, should I be sending that to you?
If you have something to share,
Yes, I could do that.
yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
All right. So I'll send that to you later. I can do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
And I can share that out. Wonderful.
Yes. Yeah. So thank you for all your help too. Appreciate it.
No, thank you. This is great. And if anyone has any last minute questions, sorry. Any problems? Oh, yeah. Any problems with invasive plant species at Fresh Meadows?
Oh, yes. We have a video on YouTube if you go to Cheshire Land Trust. We did a habitat restoration in another area of the property. It's like 35 acres. And the habitat restoration was done in a part we call the dry meadow. And we received a grant, so we took out all the invasives that we could, not using any kind of pesticides, herbicides. So we'll see what happens with that. But
Okay.
it was a thicket of autumn olive and multiflower rose and stilt grass, and we took all of it out and we put in all native shrubs and plants. So this will be the first. That happened all last year, so we'll see what happens this year. But there's a video on it. It's pretty interesting.
Wow.
And the invasives are everywhere.
Yeah. And autumn olive is a large plant. That must have been.
Yes. It was brought over, I think, by the highway crews way back when in the 50s, thinking it was a good idea. It turned out not to be a good idea. So
Right.
Yeah.
You live and learn, right?
Yeah. Hey.
They asked about, so then if you're not using pesticides and stuff, is it just manual, like physical removal?
Yeah, but you know what? I can't remember who did the thing on the invasives. I apologize, but remembering with the stilt grass, you have you have those seed and the mugwort. You have those seed banks.
Seed bank, right?
Hundreds and millions of kabillions of seeds are in there. So when you pull them out, you're really reactivating things.
Right.
And you have to be careful when you cut things too. So like autumn olive, if you really have to wait till like right before right into to fall, because if you cut it before then, it like stimulates them.
Whoa.
Yeah, so you don't want to do it then. So
Right.
there's so many different ways of going about it, but it's you have to be tenacious. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dave Dixon wants to put you on the spot and ask. I'll tell to folks that don't know, Joy has been very active in our programs before. So he's asked if you signed up yet for this year's work.
No, who am I going to get? We have to do something very, very different though. Now, you know, I love this. Oh my gosh, the Song Sleuth app.
Oh,
I love that. And I also love the way the posters are looking really good this year because they're not all the same. They're awesome. They're really good.
Yeah. Carrie gave
I
me
think it's fun.
the idea for the better poster, which then I used as a template. So I'll give her the credit for that. Yeah.
Yeah, great posters. Great posters.
And then Dave says, another great Cheshire Land Trust project. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Back at you.
Okay, we're at 11:51, which is longer than I expected, though I do again apologize for my crazy mix up this morning, and I'm so glad everyone stuck with it.
This is a great idea.
It came together pretty well, I thought. I think my afternoon session, I'll be a little calmed down for that one. But I appreciate, like, beyond, more than anyone knows, how much, you know, it's a Saturday morning and you all still showed up, and that really means a lot to me. And I'm so glad that folks are able to share their projects and hear about other people's projects, because that, you know, I think it's inspiring to see everything that's been accomplished just in a really short amount of time, and gives us ideas for other things that folks can do in the future. So if anyone has any final thoughts, they can share. You can chime in, you can unmute yourself. But thank you to everybody, really.